listening to this broadcast, you're a part of the resistance.
Welcome back to the Resistance Broadcast. I'm your host, John Hoey. Thanks for taking the time to hang out with us for a bit today. We have a fun one in store as we are debuting our new segment called the Kessel Run, where we will talk about a list of 12 moments we comprised about varying topics, this week being our favorite moments from Solo. Let's see if our list matches yours. Let us know in comments, on Twitter, all that stuff. And joining me on the Kessel Run, as always, the always excellent James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. What's going on, guys?
Guys, 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way down to 12. We're doing the Kessel Run, and I am excited to give you my 4, because there's 3 of us. Division is hard, but I am excited to give you my 4 top Solo moments, and I didn't put them in any order, but we'll get there later. We'll talk about them. It was hard to pick out 4, actually, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's going to be good. What's up, guys? Excited to be here. John, I have to clarify. You said the excellent James and Lacey. Is it excellent applying to both of us or just James?
There's no comma there.
Ooh, this is that English language thing that's real difficult, too. Math and English?
Yeah, there was no comma. Yeah, so I said the always excellent James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin. I didn't say it like that. I said the always excellent James Bainey and Lacey Gillerin, like a pair. Like, hey,
hooray.
Here we are, everybody.
That is the nicest thing you've ever said to me.
But before we get to the Kessel Run, we have to find out if the Force is with us this week. So, Lacey, what do we have this week?
The Force will be with you, always.
Solo: A Star Wars Story appears poised to gross only a little over $200 million at the box office, which on the surface suggests a sequel may not be happening. But most fans that saw the film really enjoyed it. This begs the question, will we get a chance to see Alden Ehrenreich put on the vest again as Han Solo? Perhaps in a TV series for the streaming service or in a crossover film? We will see Alden Ehrenreich appear in future Star Wars live-action content. Is the Force with you, John?
Yes. He was not the problem. Actually, he was the highlight of that movie, which I don't think any of us expected. And he did the unthinkable. He sold most fans that he was Han Solo. We're going to get into that later in Resistance Transmissions, the moment when for a lot of us. It'd be a waste of his talent to be a one and done. Plus, I think they want more of Jonas as Chewie, and as of now, there's nothing on the docket beyond Episode 9 to include him. So I think we're definitely going to get him, and whether that's a crossover film, the live action TV series somewhere, or a Solo sequel, which I'm not going to completely rule out, though it's unlikely. I think we have to see Alden again as Han Solo. So yes, the Force is with me.
James, what do you think?
I'm in 100% agreement with John on this one. I think the only difference I think is maybe I think the Solo sequel is entirely ruled out. I just think if they made that movie, people would go, didn't that movie bomb? You know what I mean? Why are they making another one? I seriously think that would probably be because the headlines were just crazy with that. But I think you're absolutely right. Alden's not the problem, and I think that if they want to stick him in some other television series somewhere down the line or something like that, I think that they could, under a different director or different set of circumstance, give him a little bit of time in between. We could see Donald Glover or Kira or Alden show up again, and then people might actually be like, that was pretty cool. Maybe I should give Solo movie a chance again. So, I don't know. And then they go back and watch it, and they like it. So, Force is with me. I think we are going to see him again.
I'm going to say the Force is not with me on this one. Even though Alden was amazing, and I loved him, and I think he was great, I don't think they're going to put him in anything else because I think they're going to try to move away from this project. And also, we have to consider if Alden wants to be Han Solo again. And I don't know if he does with all the negativity surrounding it. So I'm going to say the Force is not with me.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
All right, our next topic. In perhaps a grass is greener situation, a lot of fans who once slammed George Lucas for his prequels are now saying he should never have sold the company to Disney and handed Lucasfilm over to someone else. George Lucas has appeared at celebrations, has shown up to the sets of the new films, and has released statements about them. But perhaps to simmer the outrage coming from a small group of fans, George Lucas should go one step further and comment on the toxic environment surrounding the franchise he created. Is the Force with you, James?
No. Absolutely don't think he should comment on maybe it wasn't the best situation to sell Disney or sell Lucasfilm to Disney or anything like that. And I still stand by, I think that Disney is the perfect place for Star Wars. I don't want to see Star Wars at Universal Studios or under a different regime. I just think, I don't know. It has always been Disney in my mind, and when they sold it to Disney, I said that just makes sense, and I personally have been really happy with the stuff that they've been putting out. So I say that he still made the right decision, and I don't think that he should say anything. And I think he's happy with it too. I think he's like, yeah, that was awesome, $4 billion in the bank, and yeah, it's still making money, and yeah, whatever. My legacy lives on.
John, what do you think?
Should George Lucas comment on the toxic environment surrounding the franchise? Yes, I think he should. I don't think it'll take much for him to do it. I don't think he owes it to anybody, but if him simply saying a few words or releasing a statement can help fandom in any way, if I was George Lucas, I would do it, because it's still, even though he sold it, it's still his baby. You don't want to see your baby go off and just burn into a pile of ash. I don't care who you are. But I agree. I don't think he will. I still think he's a bit bitter about how things have gone down creatively. That's just my take on it from things you hear. But the force is with me. I think he should. I think it would really help if he just kind of addressed the toxicity, because a lot of people are saying that they wish he still had it for some reason. And if he commented on it, I think it would probably ease some of the flames, so to speak.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with John on this one. I think the force is with me that George should say something. I don't know what that statement would be and if it even has to be that long, but just saying something along the lines of like, hey, I sold this franchise knowing what could be done with it. They've done more things than I could ever have imagined, and I stand by their decisions. That's all he has to say. And I think it would just...
It won't do anything.
Of course not. Of course people will find things, but I think by presenting a united front, it only looks better, even if it doesn't please those angry people that are always just going to be angry.
Or George Lucas telling people to be nice to each other. Just to come out there and be like, hey guys, I created this thing for kids to be fun, be nice to each other. I think that'd go a long way. But
I think you're probably right. I think that would change a lot of people's minds, and they would just start being nice on the internet after George said, hey, Star Wars is about fun.
Snark alert!
And you guys should be nice to each other.
I can tell that you're being sarcastic, sir. Sir.
Yeah. No, I'm
snarky.
I don't mean to jump in again, but I'm just saying, George Lucas or any CEO or any person of any respect or involvement in these top projects coming out and saying you guys should all be nice to each other changes nothing. I mean, other than it just makes them choose a side, and they're obviously choosing the right side. But yeah, I don't know. Yeah.
All right, for our last topic, leading up to Solo: A Star Wars Story, there was a lot of talk about Star Wars eventually following the Marvel model and putting out more than one movie a year. Though Solo was only the first box office misfire for Disney's Star Wars films, talk of this has died down quite a bit. Star Wars isn't Marvel. It's a completely different type of storytelling and should be marketed more as an annual end-of-the-year event. Is the Force with you, John?
100% yes. I don't know if the Force has been with me more on this show than on this one right here. Stop comparing Star Wars to Marvel. I am so sick and tired of it. I post things about these movies, talking about Star Wars on Twitter, and people are like, well, if you look at Ant-Man and Marvel and this, and I don't care. I really don't care. Stop it. They're completely different things. You're talking about comics that get rebooted, and rebooted with these same characters over a 60-year span of doing these comics, thousands of issues, thousands of stories, intertwining stuff. Star Wars is not that. Not yet, and I doubt it will be. So just stop making the comparison. Star Wars is an event. It should be treated as an event, and I think it should be Christmas, holidays, end of the year, every year, once a year. Let's make it big, and let's do it well. So, yes, the Force is with me. Year-end annual event, boom, let's do it.
James?
I have been on the side that I want them to do a lot of movies every year, but after, Solo and the marketing and how I understand that they didn't really want to pitch Solo marketing during Last Jedi and stuff, and all of that, it all just became such a big mess that I think we were doing pretty well with the December 1 a year cycle. And I like the idea of, and the way you kind of pitch it too is kind of like a dance at high school. Like, okay guys, we're going to make an announcement. This year's theme is Under the Sea. You know, it's like this year's Star Wars movie is Old Republic, you know what I mean? And we go there and we do the thing, and if maybe we didn't or didn't like that dance or that movie, but then next year we just know, don't worry about it. Next year we're going to get something different. Maybe that one will be really cool, you know? And I kind of like that idea. So I think I'm back on board with the 1 a year is the way to go.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with both of you. The Force is with me on this one. I think one Star Wars movie is enough for me. And I know I'm saying that thinking, I'd watch anything, but at the same time, I just don't want people to start taking Star Wars for granted, and I feel like they are. And the best way to do that is to pull it back a little bit, and just let people enjoy things for a little bit before you throw something else in their face. And I just really like it being in December. It's something to look forward to. I get really excited. It's right around the holidays, so I have vacation days left over that I can use.
It's almost always my birthday, around my birthday.
Yeah. So, the Force is with me. I think these were some good topics. This was a good one, and I'm going to give it back to John.
Obi-Wan once thought as you do.
All right, 3 for 3 on that last one. Way to have some solidarity there, team.
After
James,
middle question, for sure.
Yeah, James, I was shocked at that you said that. I really thought you were going to say the Force wasn't with you, and that you wanted them to really push the Marvel model. I know you've talked about that in the past.
Well, and not to get back into it, but after you stated that it's a different type of storytelling, I do understand that. Marvel movies practically are in order. We're kind of getting the next part of the story, the next part of the story, the next part of the story, and all of that makes sense. But with Star Wars, we're so all over the place that I think when you start to talk about franchises, I don't know, it just gets kind of different. People don't want 3 solo movies. They want stuff from all over the place, you know?
Yeah. All right, guys. So, next, after Is the Force with you, we usually get into a discussion. Or, which we haven't done these in a while, a Star Wars war. Well, now we have a new thing that we're calling the Kessel Run. And in a tribute to Han Solo's Han and Chewie's great feat of doing it in less than 12 parsecs, we are going to do a list of 12 things, and whether that's a moment, a character, an event, anything to do with Star Wars. And this week we have our favorite moments in Solo. So we're going to do this from time to time, but this week we will each be going through our top 4 moments in Solo, a Star Wars story, and talking a bit about why those moments stood out to us so much. So I'm going to kick things off right here, guys. One of my moments is Han and Chewie out-tricking Lando in the final card game at the end of the movie, for multiple reasons. One, because when you see Lando's face when he's confident and he's trying to trigger that device to get that card, and he notices it's not there, and then it goes to Han. Yeah, exactly. And then it goes to Han. But more so because we talked about this before in our spoiler review. Chewie is also involved in the bluffing here, because Han shows Chewie his cards, and Chewie just goes like, "Oh God," like, "Oh, we're gonna lose." So good on Chewie for knowing how to bluff. I don't know where he learned that, but he must have learned that somewhere. Yeah, just the whole end of this thing and how he wins and slams the cards down. It's just a great moment, and seeing him turn the tables on him just really wrap that thing around nicely for me.
Yep,
I agree. It's a great moment.
James, what do you got?
I have, and I've phrased this a specific way, Han meeting the Falcon. The reason I think this is one of my favorite moments is because I have been a soundtrack junkie, and I've been listening to this thing over and over and over again, and I think that the moment when he walks around the corner and they play this music that it has to tie in with this magical moment. the way they used the original Star Wars theme and they wrote it for this, it's very, I feel like I'm at the Magic Kingdom and I'm watching like this laser show or something, but like, I know it makes it sound worse, but that's how I kind of always picture it, because I think Disney, when they write their music, there's something very magical about the way they put it together. And it makes me feel like there's something bigger than Star Wars that is allowing that music to be played, because they know that I'm getting super weird and meta, but they know that this is a special moment. It's going to be a special moment in this galaxy's history. And in the movie, they make it seem very seemingly unimportant. You know, he's just kind of walking around. He's like, oh, there's this ship. This ship's kind of cool. But there's that music makes it so important, because we know that relationship.
Right.
And I don't know.
And Han can't hear the music.
Yeah, correct. Yeah. So it's just that, but I think like his eyes and the way he's walking around, and he's giving glances at Chewbacca, and just the whole moment it's so beautiful, because he doesn't know, but we know, and the music really captures that. So
yeah, and the way he glances up at it, yeah.
Right on. Lacey, what do you got?
Well, my moment's going to look really stupid compared to that wonderful moment.
Yeah, they're all great moments.
But the first one I'm going to bring up is the the Gronk type droid that's just stomping buttons during the robot rebellion.
Yeah.
on Kessel. I love that moment, and it sticks out to me because I think I laughed the hardest at that moment, because it was just so silly and so over the top and just hilarious. Because it's so serious, the situation's so serious, to have something like that just kind of stomping away, it brings comedy into the scene.
That was probably the loudest our theater was, laughter-wise.
Yeah.
To think that those droids are just like trying to process like rebellion, it's so.
I wish it did say
so
gonk.
cute.
I wish it said gonk. That would have made it for me. That's a good moment though. That's fun.
Yeah, back to you, John.
Yeah, my next one. Which one am I going to go with here? I have 3 more to go. I feel like I'm playing a card game right now. Like, which one am I going to dole
we
out
just
now?
wrote them like in order.
I'm going to say Han and Chewie on the deck of Rio's ship talking about working together, and the whole thing about, I'm not going to call you Chewbacca or whatever. But, like, because that's when they play the Chewbacca theme, and I guess that's the Chewbacca theme, because it doesn't sound very Star Wars-y, but it really... I don't know. It's really like an emotional track.
It's tribal.
It just like it shows them really initially bonding for the first time, aside from when they trick those troopers to get out of the cell.
It's tribal. The dun, 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 it's got these drums and stuff.
I love that track. Like I posted this on Twitter. I want to, at Star Wars Celebration next year, I want to see Peter Mayhew come out. I want to see Jonas Suotamo come out, and I want them to do a tribute video to Chewbacca and those 2 guys with that track playing. And I guarantee the whole audience would cry.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, that's my third moment. James, what do you got?
Oh man, I got another one here, and some of these we actually talked about on the spoilers, like some of my favorite moments. But I'm gonna bring back up that Woody Harrelson scene. First time we see Beckett. Han looks up on top of that ridge and he sees this guy, blam, 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 shooting left, right, spinning the blasters around. And you see it. It's like a kid who has no father figure sees that and he's like, that's what I want to be. I'm following that guy. That guy's awesome.
He's literally looking up to him.
Yeah. And the fate of... he says, hey, now you're in charge, who's the cap, who's in charge? It's you, like what luck that Han would, I think he probably would have went after Woody regardless, but I think it's funny that he actually was at that moment the person that he was supposed to follow order wise.
Right.
But yeah, the every interaction with them past that point where he's like, "Oh, I guess I am Captain." It's kind of funny.
Yeah.
But I absolutely love that scene because it just follows everybody getting slaughtered on the field, and then you see this guy who's out there, and he's not even there to be in the war. He's just out there like blasting fools because it's fun, It's just, it's great.
Spinning his gun.
Yeah, exactly. He's like, I guess I got to get from here to there, so I'll kill some people along the way.
How early do you think Han knew that he wasn't who he was because he brought up the blaster points in his armor, Did you knew right away?
I think the shots were one thing that he noticed, but that seemed odd to him. I think when he was like following him and he saw Rio pull up his pants or whatever, he's like, there's no way, there's no way these guys are legit.
Too, yeah. Right on. Lacey, what's your third moment?
I think my third moment, which is kind of right around my fourth moment, is when Kira comes off the Millennium Falcon and offers slaves. And then when she gives the dice to Han, kind of like that sequence. First of all, I love when she comes off the Falcon. She's standing there and she's like, I am the manager of this to the vice admiral of this. And like the whole title is this like long, exaggerated title. And it just reminded me of like any time you're trying to BS something and you're like, yes, I spoke to the president of the
assistant to the regional manager.
Yeah, assistant to the regional. Yeah, exactly.
As Jim Halpert saying, what store number? 6. I don't know.
Yeah.
Exactly. That scene makes me laugh. And then when she gives the dice back to Han, where she punches him in the stomach and then she gives them back to him, it's just like the perfect, like, yes, I still care about you, but I'm giving them to you in the way that Han would kind of like sneakily give them to her. So I really loved that scene. And
they pepper us with the Star Wars main theme with like a flute real quick when she hands them to him. Yeah, that was cool. Good moment. So my second moment or third moment, however you want to count these, really. I have 2 left. Han and Chewie flying together for the first time. I know that's going to be a pretty obvious pick, but I had to take it. When Chewie sits in there and the music and everything, and I think more so just when they start really getting going and Chewie's flipping the switches and stuff, and you get those A New Hope vibes. And when Han just kind of looks over at Chewie and says, like, you're going to be my co-pilot forever. You're not going anywhere. Like that kind of look. And the music and everything, like, it makes me tear up a little bit. I'm not going to lie. The second time I saw it, I really got emotional thinking about their whole journey together. And I even thought about when Han dies and Chewie screams and stuff. Like I saw the whole relationship there in that moment. So that was a big moment for me. It may be my top moment, and I'm sure for a lot of people it is too, because it's pretty obvious. But I had to put it in there.
Pretty obvi. My next moment is it's going to sound funny because I don't mean it exactly like this, but L3 dying.
Oh, hell yeah.
It's not exactly that I wanted L3 to die, but I think that if you were to say, what is the best, the most well-acted scene in the movie? It's Donald Glover in that scene. When they're back on the Falcon and he's holding the parts, and then even carrying over into Han, he says, yeah, go ahead, go take over the ship. And then he goes in there afterwards and they're coming up with their plan and he's going through this whole, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess, yeah, it's just, I don't know. His acting in that scene is just absolutely perfect. It's perfectly like a Billy D thing, but it's perfectly just young Lando. It's perfectly Donald Glover. I don't know. It's all of the above. It's very excellent. And it's, in all honesty, it's probably one of the only moments in the movie that actually has like or at least attempted to, I guess, had large, heavy weight. I mean, that is one of the major characters dying. So I don't know. I think it's
Donald Glover's acting abilities.
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
And humanizes Lando.
Right.
Yeah. That's probably the most distraught, even in comics or anything, that we've ever seen the Lando character. So, that's why it's one of my picks. Lacey, you got 2 more?
When Han popped him in the jaw in Empire.
Yeah, he was crying. He was crying, I think, at that moment. No, I'm just kidding. Lacey, you got more?
Yep. My next moment is... Enfys Nest removes her helmet. I just loved the scene. I thought it was so cool, and to find out it was a female character is really, really cool, and that she's super young. And I love how she removes her helmet after the whole Han Solo, like, yeah, you got a big problem. And she removes her helmet, and she's just like, I need a drink. Like, that's the line she says. It's just so perfect. Because what other way to handle Han Solo than like, I need a drink before I talk to you because you're out of control. And I just loved her as a character. And his honorable mention to this is when she jumps off the roof. It's pretty badass. It was exciting new character. I hope we see more from her. And she was just really, really cool. And that's why she might be one of my top moments.
I have to say, Lacey, I know you. I wasn't. I hated the name Enfys Nest, and I think the second time I saw the movie, I really liked the character even more. I even liked the music a little more, which I didn't love, like the Cloud Rider stuff. But that's growing on me. Yeah, but I agree. That's a good moment because Enfys Nest is pretty legit, and hopefully, just like Alden as Han again, we see more of what's her name, Erin Kellyman. Is that her name?
Yep.
Yeah, we see more of her as Enfys Nest. That'd be kind of rad. Because I would hate for them to just waste her on like a Forces of Destiny or something like that, you know?
Right. No, give her a legit part.
We talked about this like the week before, I think, but somebody mentioned seeing Enfys Nest in a novel, and I think that makes perfect sense. If you give Phasma a novel and that allows us to open up into that character, Enfys Nest getting a novel and seeing where she comes from, her goals, maybe some adventure like on the swoop bikes or something. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I'd read a pop-up book. If they did that, then I'd be down.
Yeah. Like one of those like children's level 2. It says like level 2 on the front.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You pull the tab and the Cloud Rider bike comes up. It's like,
but yet she would be wasted in a Forces of Destiny.
All right. Well, on that note, my final moment, one of my 4 moments, I should say. Han and Beckett after Han shoots Beckett. I think that was a really big moment because Beckett just kind of says like, I would have done the same thing. And he grabs his hand and it shows Han's compassion. He's like, I knew I had to shoot him, but I still love him. And it reminded me a little bit of Obi-Wan and Maul in Rebels. He just kind of like, he's easing him into his passing. It's not just like, yeah, I just shot you like Greedo and let your head hit the table. It's like, no, you were my mentor, and I know I still had to do this. It was like a very conflicted moment.
Right, because no one wants to die alone. Dying alone isn't good, like Rio.
Right, and he just like holds his arm and he like eases him down. And for some reason, that one shot just like burned in my brain. And it really shows who Han is, but also that he knew what he had to do. And unfortunately, at the end of his life, he couldn't shoot first, and Kylo did. And it happened to be in the form of a lightsaber. So the only time Han didn't know what to shoot first was when it was his own son. But maybe we'll talk about that more some other time. James, what was your 4th moment for your favorite moment in Solo?
We've been talking spoilers this whole time, so I think if you don't know by now, you haven't turned the podcast off at this point if you haven't seen Solo. But Maul, man. Absolutely. I can't reiterate this enough. I think this was the perfect choice. Pulls in all the little stuff, like it's payoff for us watching Clone Wars, for us watching Rebels, and to see him back on the screen, to see how he connects. It's like fan appreciation in that moment, and watching that movie and seeing him there and just like getting excited at the possibility of knowing that he's running this underworld and how it was played off in the movie. And I know Ken Knapsack has talked about how, John Roca too has talked about that the lightsaber doesn't need to be there. And I'm like, but I love it. I love everything that happened there, like how it zips over in the hologram, and how he stands up to show his like seriousness towards her. Like, I'm not messing around. We're gonna do this between me and you. And I don't know. It's just like, it's such a perfect ending to that movie. And I don't know. There's so many different layers of like what's going through Kira's mind at that moment. Some people are saying like, oh, she betrayed Han, but then there's this other aspect that she's protecting Han because she knows Han would never be able to defeat Maul. So to try to run away, Maul would find them, So she's protecting him. I don't know. It's just so many layers, and I loved all of it. Just Maul being
his little metal foot.
Yeah, and his cute little metal foot was there
Guys,
too.
That's
the
really came out last week. I didn't say little foot.
No, I did.
No, yeah.
I know, but I didn't say that. You guys made it sound like I said that. Yeah, that was a really cool moment, though. And the interesting thing about that moment is it's, as John would say, the perfect bookend. It starts with the movie where Han runs away and Kira gets drawn back in. And it ends with Han running away and Kira getting pulled right back in and her getting left behind. It was exactly the same situation at the beginning, at the end.
absolutely. I'm surprised we don't feel more bad for Kira and like the choices she had to make. They didn't really
She's a
develop that, I guess,
survivor.
but yeah, right. I mean, I hope they do branch that out just for the sake of more Kira. Well, we'll see.
Absolutely. All right, so that leaves me, right?
One
That
more.
leaves you with our 12th moment.
Of course, I got to finish with this one, guys. Han meeting Chewie for the first time. Come on, guys. I said this when we talked about the movie, and I'll say it again. When I was in the movie with John, and he goes, "We're going to throw you to the beast," I elbowed John so hard and was like, "It's Chewie!" And he was like, "Yeah, I got it. Please stop talking."
Yeah.
No, that was the guy in front of us.
Oh, was it?
Yeah.
No,
It was
okay.
everyone just going, shh. No, I loved everything about this scene. I loved him coming out in the mud and at first, and then the scene or the part where he starts talking to Chewbacca, and Chewbacca's like, "What? You can actually speak to me?" And he's like, "Yeah, I know a little bit." And then someone pointed it out, I believe it was Matt Martin, but I can't remember, that when he gets pushed into the mud, he makes the same pose as the carbonite.
Oh,
and he does it
really?
on
I didn't know that.
purpose. Yeah.
With
So
the
when
hands up, like?
It's the same pose.
Damn. That's an Easter egg right there.
It is. So that's really cool. I loved that.
That's like his fear for his life, last minute reaction kind of a thing. That's cool.
Always. Lacey, I picture like Han and Chewie just like on their downtime goofing off in the Falcon, and they like Chewie hides and like jumps out to scare Han, and Han just like, "Oh!" and he puts his hands
Immediately
up. It's
goes
same
into
pose.
the carbonite pose.
Like those goats that pass out when they get scared.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that's really cool. And then I loved just the idea that John, you said this when we talked about the movie, but like doing their first trick together, like their first fooling around, like tricking people to get out of a situation.
Their
It was the
first
first scene
con,
we
yeah.
see Han being like talking himself out of it, you know? He's like, no, we could do this together. And like, it's a prime example of like Han swaying whoever it is to help him get his way. And I loved it. And I loved seeing them together. The shower scene after was hilarious.
I still love that he calls him a moof milker.
By the way, when the movie came out, like first press responses, someone had mentioned a shower scene. And I thought they were joking. And then to be
Yeah.
in the movie and actually see it, I was like, oh no, there is one. But yeah, no, Han and Chewie will always be my favorite BFF team. They're the best. And them
Yeah.
meeting was such a wonderful moment, and it like brought it full circle for me because I grew up loving A New Hope when you first meet them together.
Yeah, and now I haven't seen A New Hope since I watched Solo, and now I just feel like I'm going to enjoy it more. I know that's a very cliche thing to say, but I really believe that.
Right. It's like when you watched Rogue One and then you went into New Hope. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you see like Tarkin, and it to me it was almost seamless. But yeah, I mean 3 out of 4 of my moments were Han and Chewie too. So I mean they really did well showcasing those guys together.
I was just laughing a little bit because I'm glad you pointed that out. I noticed all of your moments were Han and Chewie blank, Han and Chewie blank, Han and Beckett blank, Han and Chewie blank.
Yeah, and I didn't even think of it, but it just came out that way, man.
Yeah.
So I don't know.
I would have figured that because, John, you've been saying for weeks now that what you were looking forward to most was the relationship between Han and Chewie.
Sure.
Yeah, I mean,
Payoff.
something about best friends who are best friends for life. It's like the man's best friend, and Chewie's sort of like the dog, but he's an equal. Interesting dynamic, but so that's it. That's the Kessel Run, guys. That's our 12 moments. We're gonna probably do this again down the line with more different types of stuff, and let us know what your list was, your top 4, your top 12, whatever. And we'll see if there's some that you had different from ours, maybe some the same, whatever. But we enjoyed this, and we're definitely going to do more in the future. But now it's time to hear from you guys in Resistance Transmissions. So, James, what is the Resistance transmissioning about this week?
Hello, what have we here?
Yeah, so we always put this out on Twitter as a question. We call it Resistance Transmissions, and we'll ask a question such as this week's: at what moment in Solo, a Star Wars story, were you sold on Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo? And then you guys will send us your answers, and we get a lot of different reasons and reactions of when people were thinking, and so I'm going to go through and read some of these, some of the more interesting ones. Seth Kime at at skime09, He said that he was sold on Alden Ehrenreich the moment the speeder gets caught sideways trying to slip through the narrow gap. Classic Han going for something crazy and having it only work halfway. That's a really good point. And it's interesting, too, because that means he was not sold on Alden all the way up to the movie. You know, he went into the movie going, I'm not sure about this guy yet. So, but it was that moment he sees the car halfway on its side and says, yeah, you know what? This is Han Solo. Yeah.
I laughed so hard at this part.
We had another one come from Chris Agar at Chris Agar 90, which is weird. That's 09 was the last one. This is 90. But he says, I was on board with him from the trailers, but the moment in the actual film was when he tried to con his way out of trouble with Lady Proxima. And I got to be honest, that was my moment too. Like, I was sold on the trailers, but this moment in the film where he actually is like, I was just on my way to talk to Lady Proxima, that was 100% Han, because we've seen him do that in multiple films. It's totally his personality. I loved it.
I think he's talking, though, about the thermal detonator with the rock, where he goes...
A lot of people sent that.
But the funny thing about that, though, if you think about it, is going back to bookends, John. Leia then does the thermal detonator in Return of the Jedi to Jabba with an actual thermal detonator.
Yeah, Leia wasn't an orphan.
We don't know that.
Resources.
It might have been a rock. She might have been making a clicking sound with her mouth.
Yeah, she had a fancier rock.
Which I love though, that in the future she uses the same con to try to get him out. I love it.
For sure.
Yeah, I saw someone tweet saying the difference between Han and Leia is Leia actually had one. It's like, you know, Han probably would have used one too, but he was an orphan. So he's like, oh, I have a rock. So let me just use this rock. Like,
but
I'm sure
I like
Han, if
it
he
better
had
that
one,
it was a rock, though, because she was like, you
I
just made a
agree.
clicking noise with your mouth.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Know, it's interesting, too, if he would have actually used a thermal detonator and he needed to actually activate it, it would have hurt the innocents there. But he threw it through the window and it only hurt the White Worm gang.
Right. Yep.
So, I don't know. It's kind of interesting. I don't know
So
if we need to
he
dive
is the
too
good
deep.
guy.
I
Kira
don't know
was right.
exactly. I was like, I don't know if we want to dive too deep into that, but his moral choices there may have come into play. Cass Skellington at Bifocals McTats, which is has got to be one of the best Twitter names I've ever seen. If you missed that was at Bifocals McTats. So please go follow Cass Skellington. I know I will. Cass said, what 100% sealed the deal and impressed me was the small smirk he gives Emphas when she asks him to join and he calls her kid. The smirk and the eye squint blurred Harrison and Alden into just Han. And I think that's a great answer. I think that was written there on purpose to be this moment that is kind of a callback to Harrison Ford and how he Harrison Ford, how he would have done things. So
how he would talk to Luke. Yeah,
exactly.
Do you think he said it to Ben Solo?
See you around, kid. Joshua at Just Joshua Ryan said Han and Tobias are in the middle of pulling a plan out of their butts to pay Voss back. Kira asks who the pilot will be, and Han gives a dopey smile and points to himself. Yeah, that's
right. You're just like me.
You know, this is one of those things, like, this is why I love Resistance Transmissions, because we go through here and I'm like, and that moment, it really gives you the appreciation of saying, like, you know, you watch it and it's all these little moments are spread out throughout the 2-hour time period, but to hear some of these examples back to back to back, you're like, man, he really did do a great job. And we were talking.
And how about Rey saying, "We've got a pilot"?
Yeah,
just like he does it. She's like, "Oh, we've got one."
Exactly. Yeah, we were talking about Anthony and Gruber playing the part, and I just think Alden Ehrenreich was perfect for this. Rachel Moore, with our last one at rmore1206, said before the movie started, I was skeptical. Within the first 2 minutes of the movie, I was sold. And so if Chris Agar was talking about the like thermal detonator thing. Hopefully Rachel's talking about the scene I'm talking about with the trying to get out of going to see her. I was just on my way. So, but yep. Those are some awesome answers, and I'm really glad we did this resistance transmission this week. This was a good one.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to keep pitching those to you guys and keep those coming because, like James was just saying, like you guys really make the show great because we love to involve you in the show. Most of the times because you guys point out things that we're just like, oh, damn, that's right. We didn't even think of that. So,
like bifocals McTats.
I don't know who that is, but you have... I mean, you don't even need to get your handle. You have your handle. You don't need your name involved at all. So good on you there. Now watch we look up that person, and it's one of those like Last Jedi awful people.
Yeah.
All right. If you guys haven't commented on our Resistance Transmission tweets, just get on it. We love checking them out, and we're going to keep them coming. After you're done listening to this show, make sure you subscribe to us on iTunes, SoundCloud, or YouTube. And please just take 5 seconds and rate us 5 stars on iTunes and like and comment on our YouTube videos. We really appreciate it. As always, be sure to head to our website, StarWarsNewsNet.com, for all of your latest Star Wars news, information, reviews, editorials, all that good stuff, all new stuff every day on there. James, where can people find you on the internet?
Well, you can always find me on Twitter and Instagram at MeyerTrunks. But if you find me in real life, you're likely going to be seeing me go back and listen to all these podcasts and YouTube shows that are Star Wars related, just to watch people's like guesses on The Last Jedi and Solo and stuff. Like, I think porgs are going to be like huge in this movie and stuff. It's I love going back and rewatching the speculation of like, what they think is going to happen in the movies. And then because we kind of forget about that and we kind of follow the news cycle as it continues on. But it is fun to go back and think that, at one point this was on so-and-so's mind as an actual real possibility that couldn't have been further from the truth. But that's what's so much fun about speculation and doing these podcasts on a weekly or by double weekly basis. I don't know how to say that. Two times weekly basis.
That sounds good. 2 times weekly basis.
That's the official term.
Yeah. Lacey, where are you at?
People can find me as usual on Twitter at Lacey Gillerin, and I'm excited to say that I have a new project coming, so be on the lookout for it.
Ooh. Can we ask you a little bit more about it? Or is this one of those things where you're like J.J. Abrams and you're like, I'll just draw 2 letters on a napkin and take a picture of it?
I've told everyone a different thing, so whatever leaks is not the truth.
Ooh. Very cryptic.
I'm just joking. No, it's a cool video project for Star Wars Newsnet. I'm excited. So hopefully it'll be out by the time this comes out.
Nice. Well, you better get on that then, huh? Get out of here.
Oh, geez, I should. Also, Kylo Ren's the best.
There it is.
Dang it.
You guys can find me on Twitter at Johnny Hoey and writing and editing over at StarWarsNewsNet.com every week. Thank you for listening every week and engaging with us on Twitter, emails, on Star Wars Newsnet, everywhere. Hopefully it's Celebration next year. Be sure to keep telling people you know about the show. It's the best way for us to grow the show, so thank you. And I know we're 10 months away, but as I said, we hope to see all of you at Star Wars Celebration Chicago next year. We want to do meetups. We want to do hangouts. We want to see all of you and talk Star Wars and have a great time. So for now, enjoy this coming weekend, and we'll see you again on Monday morning with another brand new episode right here on the Resistance Broadcast.